Welcome to The Art of Plenty. I'm Amy McInnes, your host, and I'm excited to be here with you. Let's get into it. Let's get into timing. There is a way to think about your purpose in the context of timing. There's been many times over the last decade where I have had to remind myself and not be stressed or concerned about the time that I have. The first time that this really came up for me was when my daughter was about 1 year old and I had just completed my master's. I was very excited because I was looking forward to counseling and I was looking forward to finding a job where I would be able to utilize all of the skills and all of the education that I had been working on for the previous couple years. And then I found out I was pregnant. I was very torn in that moment because even though I knew that I wanted to have more kids, and even though I was intending to get pregnant in the future, at that moment in that time, I really just wanted to be able to work and I wanted to be able to focus on my career because I had invested so much time in getting my education. It was pretty distressing for me, actually. And I had to come to terms with it and let go of the thoughts that I had surrounding if I was even going to be able to put my skills and my education to use and how long was that going to take. And I just felt like I was getting held back. And it wasn't until later on, it might have even been a couple years after, where I really had a lot of gratitude and gratefulness for the timing that I did get pregnant. It ended up working out better than I could have ever imagined. And I was so thankful that I wasn't in control at that point of my life. Because had I been in control and only gotten pregnant later, I would have missed out on some things that happened to me and happened to our family because of the timing that I did get pregnant with our second. I had a conversation with a friend recently, and when she was talking to me, it reminded me of the situation I had found myself in when I had completed my master's. And she was wishing that she was further ahead, not just in her career, but also in her relationship. She wanted to be in a different space. And I think that this can be a very typical experience. Feeling like you're ready to be married, or you want to have kids, or you want to be able to own your own home, or that you are ready for the career and the job that you feel like you were meant for. Whatever it is, you're not there yet. And it feels like life is just passing you by. Or it's not passing you by, but it's moving at a snail's pace and you can't get where you want to go fast enough. And that pressure can be further exacerbated when you feel like you were meant to do something of significance, when you feel like you have a calling on your life and that you were meant for something big. That pressure and that disappointment can just grow and be amplified. Especially when you look around and it seems like everyone that's around you is further ahead. You're the only one in your friend group who hasn't found a significant other. You're the only one in your friend group who doesn't have a baby. You're the only one in your friend group that doesn't have a job that they love or doesn't have a job that feels like a career or a calling. And that pressure creates stress and it compounds it. And it's often accompanied with thoughts like, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I'm getting left behind. I'm supposed to be further ahead. I'm too late. If I'm not doing this now, I'll never get to where I want to be. Now, when I was getting ready for today, I chose this yellow shirt for a reason. So I want to tell you the reason for the yellow shirt. I'm going to get there. So you got to come along for the ride a little bit here because I'm not going to answer that right now. I was creating our course, How to Find Work You Love. And the idea for that course had been percolating in my mind for a couple of years. As an employer, it is really important to me that the employees and the people that work for us like their jobs. I'm very motivated to create a work environment and work policies that are the type of work policies and work environment that I would want to work in and the policies that I would want to have. So I know that when people have a job where it's meaningful for them, they're happier at work and they're more productive at work. And those are very good things, not only for the company culture and the atmosphere at work, but it's also very good for productivity. So I'm super motivated about that. So the idea for the course had been percolating because I had been thinking about that. I had been thinking about how do we create a work environment that our employees love and where they want to come to work. But as I was working through the content for the course, it felt really sluggish. And I had been working on it and it just wasn't coming together. I had been rusty. I hadn't created content for a while and it was taking a really long time. And the worst part about it is it wasn't any good. The initial content, it wasn't up to the standard that I was wanting to have for the course because the material really mattered to me. So I had to throw out the old content and start again, which I did. And all the while this is happening, I can feel this pressure mounting in my back and it's coming up and I'm constantly pushing it down. Meanwhile, I'm like blowing through the deadlines that we have for the team. And I feel like I'm letting down my team because the content isn't ready. The first content was so bad. So I have all this pressure mounting and it's really frustrating. So it took almost a full year to get to the content to the place where I was feeling good about it and where I knew that this is content that's going to have an impact and this is exactly how I want the course to be delivered. So we got the content ready for launch and it was spring. And our team was choosing the colors that we were going to use in the workbook that corresponds with the course and the colors that we were going to use for the promotional materials. And I'm a teal girl. I love blues. I love greens. And I always have. When I was a kid, lime green was my favorite color. And I've always been drawn towards those deep bluey green colors. So for this course, I was thinking that was the way we were going to go because after all, this was our inaugural course for Stillwater Online and why not use a color that I love? And one of the people on our team that was creating these materials, mocked them all up with the teal, but then she also mocked up one with this beautiful yellow gold. And as soon as I seen it, I was like, yes. This is the color for this course. This is the color for these materials. And I was really excited about it. So on one hand, I was feeling very disappointed about how long it had taken me and the pressure, but I was also starting to feel really excited about the launching of the course. And I was determined that I was going to push through the feelings and we were going to get this course out into the world. So I was filming a webinar that was a promotional webinar for the course. And everything to do with the course was gold and yellow in my eyes. So I was wearing my gold shirt and I had filmed the promotional webinar and I was still feeling like, oh, I missed it. I can't believe it took me this long to do this. And I was annoyed at myself. And I was walking out of where we had been filming the webinar. And I walked outside and I looked up on the hills that are beside where we were working. And they were filled with these beautiful yellow flowers. And it wasn't just one or two gold yellow flowers. The entire hill was covered. And it's the same gold yellow that we have on our promotional materials, and it's the same gold yellow of my shirt. I knew in that moment that we didn't miss it. It felt like the course release date was providential. And in that moment, when I was looking at all those beautiful yellow flowers, I was reminded that I wasn't out of time. And I'm not saying out of time in that the clock has ran out or it's too late. I'm saying out of time, and I'm meaning that in a seasonal way, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm supposed to be doing it. That's what I mean out of time. It has to do with a placement. It has to do with where you are in the season of your life. It's as though there's a rhythm that life is meant to follow. And when I get stressed or when I force myself out of time and I get frustrated and I feel like I'm not doing things fast enough, I'm actually working against myself and I'm not setting myself up for success. And those yellow flowers were a reminder to me that even though I was feeling that pressure and feeling like I had missed it and that I was too late and the course had taken me too long to develop, that wasn't actually the truth. The truth was I was actually in the right time, and I needed to go through the process that I went through in creating that course in the time that I went through in order to be where I was on that day. And that mattered. That was significant. But it's a really hard place to be. It is a hard place to be when you are waiting. It's a hard place to be when you're healing. It's a hard place to be when you're growing and you're learning and you have to wait. Especially when you know where you're going. You know you've got something big to do, but it's just not the right season. Those flowers are dormant underneath the snow all winter, and it seems like nothing's happening. And in those seasons, it can be really hard to stay in peace. Our company, our consulting company, experiences those types of seasons quite a bit because we do contract work. In our early days of our business, when we would first do contract work, when there was no contract and we were waiting for the next one, we would try filling our time with all of this busy work because there was this pressure that we needed to be moving forward. There was this pressure that we needed to be getting ready for the next contract. We needed to be finding the next contract. And it took a lot of time for us to embrace the ebb season of contract work without fear. But in order to be productive in the flow season, we needed to rest in the ebb season. But that's hard to do, especially when you feel like life is passing you by. The best way to do it is to try to let go, to relish in the rest. To notice that there are things that are going on in this season. There are things that you are doing now, that you are working towards, that you're moving toward. And if you rush, if you push through this season, you might miss something. And that something might be important. It might be something that you require in the future. I'm going to repeat that because I think that's wisdom talking. There are things that you are going through. There are things that you are meant to learn. And if you learn those things now, you're going to be more successful in the future. Think of it like math class. You can't be successful at algebra if you don't know how to do multiplication and division. Algebra is way harder if you don't have the fundamental building blocks of math. And the better you do at learning those fundamentals, the more success and the easier algebra is going to be down the road. It's gradational change. It's incremental learning. So here's the pep talk. Here's the talk that I give myself when I'm feeling that pressure. I've got time. I'm in the right time. I can do the things that I need to do today. And I may not understand everything, and I may not be able to see how this is working for my good. But this timing matters. And I'm going to trust this process. I'm going to breathe deep. And I'm going to remember that the things that I'm doing today, the things that I'm learning today are setting me up for the future. They're setting me up to live the life that I'm meant to live. I do this in simple ways too. I'm a pretty motivated person and I can accomplish a lot of things in a short amount of time. And I'm used to really busy days. But some days I wake up and I just don't feel like that. I don't have the motivation to get things done. And I can get down on myself like, oh, come on, Amy, you got to get this stuff done. And you're just wandering around, not accomplishing anything. And what I've learned to do is that if I'm feeling that way, if I'm feeling like I can't get anything done, I just relax. And I remind myself that that's not my personality and that's not how I usually am. So if today I'm feeling like that, I maybe just need to embrace it and not push through it. And sure enough, the next day, or maybe the day after that, I'm right back at it and I'm as motivated as ever and I can crank out a crazy to-do list. So I want to encourage you to take a deep breath and be present. Be present in these moments that you are living in your life right now. The choices that you are making today, they're determining your future. And it's hard work out there, becoming who you were meant to be. But you got this. Stay in time. That concludes today's episode of The Art of Plenty. We are all about building a community of like-minded individuals, so let's stay connected. Hit subscribe and follow us at The Art of Plenty or at amymckinnis.com. We would love to hear your thoughts, experiences, and even your favorite life hacks. This content is created and intended for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as professional advice. Please consult directly with qualified professionals. As always, I consider it an honor that you chose to spend time listening in today. It is a privilege to be able to share my heart with you. Until next time, keep creating your masterpiece, a life of plenty.